Hello and welcome back. I am Dr. Anshu coming back with today's editorial. So let's have a recap that what are we going to cover. So the front page covering about the retail inflation eases to the 5 months low for 4.31%. IMC project gains a transaction traction of PM holds talk with Macron. Second page covering it's the 1984 anti-Sikh riot. Delhi court convicts a former Congress MP in double murder case. And AI dangerous tool, be it Chinese or American hands, says Delhi High Court. There is a workers cleaning a poultry farm NTR and the bird flu cases has been reported. Third one is covering the editorial about a nuclear energy dangerous concession on liability and it's a willful violation. Fourth one is about the budgeting gender inclusive of Viksit Bharat, a very important and good article covering every aspects. Fifth one is about the how the implication of AI diffuses framework, and there are many articles related to AI in yesterday's editorials. Sixth one is should a convicted person contest elections? We'll study about a detail. Seventh one is about the what is the contributing to the downturns in the Indian markets. Eighth one covering the India may revive a plan to procure 6 more P-81 aircraft from US and the Eastern Kaya Chronicle of the lives and fable of Nagas. And the last slides covering is the over 19 million people take a holy dip on Magh Purnima at Mahakumbh and panel report says illegal coal mining continues unabated in Meghalaya. So let's starting with the front page. So the retail inflation eases and 5-month low of 4.31%. And how the inflation is eases the 5 month of 4.3%. It is the in January it is 4.31%. So it's 4.31% and 5.2% in the December. So there is a 5.1% in a year, and there is a third successive month from 6% to 8.4% preceding months, and this is the prices of the edible oils and fruits had flared up sharply. So there is a January there is a drop of 3.87%. It's 3.87%, and the central banks to 4%. So the latest median target is 4.64%, but down to 5.8% from December. 5.8% rise. What is targeted is more than, but it is less than the previous December year 5.8% rise. So what is the how the inflation is increasing the products like edible oils, fertilizers, petroleum, and there is a rupee depreciation of average 4.4%. So there is a downtrend chart showing here. Basically there is a 3.2% in December. IIP growth skids to the 4-month low, and the food prices slows down the third straight month up to 6% in January. And inflation of urban consumer dropped to it also led to the inflation in urban consumer led 3.87%. RBI's 4% median target for inflations. So at 3.2% December there are 4-month low. So moving to the next one is the IMC project gains a traction of sorry, as a PM hold talks with Macron. So the Prime Minister visiting to the France for meeting with a French President Macron, and there is IMC, it's India Middle East Corridor IMC, covering the important corridors like in India it's Mumbai. I'm just forgot to put that map images so it can clear, but I am just telling in the detail in like a short form. Like in India it's Mumbai, in UAE is Jebel Ali and Al Ghawafat, and Riyadh, Saudi Arabia it's Riyadh. Haifa, Israel. Haifa is important one. Haifa it's Israel, and is in Greece is Piraeus. It's Piraeus. So moving to the next one is about so the AI dangerous tool. Chinese or American hand says Delhi High Court that the artificial intelligence AI is a dangerous tool, and in anybody's hand, whether it's Chinese or American. This observation came while hearing a petition of seeking a direction of center to block the access DeepSeek, a Chinese AI. DeepSeek is trending here. The AI that is made in China. Chinese AI chatbot. So there is a it does not make any differences that government is unaware, and it is very well aware that Brain Justice DK Pidaragos said the instant threat is like there is the concerns about alleged inappropriate and unlawful operations. DeepSeek's saying it impose instant and emergent threats that are prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India and data security of state. The petitioner said DeepSeek is available for downloads on mobile phones, and under term of its use in privacy and policy fails to protect the right of privacy of Indian citizen. In the IT Rules 2011, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act DPD 2023. Particularly, it is restoring regarding to the data collection, disclosure, and security. Here, the 1984 anti-Sikh riots and Delhi court convicts a former Congress MP in double murder case. There is about MP Sajan Kumar, 79, double murder case related to 1984 Sikh riots, and he faces the maximum sentences of a death penalty and minimum life imprisonment. So prosecution has been able and beyond reasonable. Special judges are reasonable to convicting for Kumar offences. So just moving to the next one, not so important, but I cover it as a general awareness type. So just read one time. Moving to the next editorial is nuclear energy and dangerous concessions and liability. So let's have a detailed analysis about it. So the Union Budget speech on Feb 1, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced that the government intentions to take up amendments to Atomic Energy Act and Civil Liability for Nuclear Damages Act. So there is a India move to identify the supplier should be a matter of serious concern. This should. So what are the moreover the reactors of American government is pushing India to buy extremely expensive, and their import make no sense of economic grounds. So like a multiple reactor melts down at Fukushima, Japan in 2011 can be catastrophic. Such disaster affect three parties: the victims, the operator, nuclear plant, and the corporation NPCIL. So the Bhopal gas disaster 1984, in the Supreme Court India ruled in 1986 in the Delhi oleum gas leak, and any enterprises engaged in hazardous activities. Here's the UPA in 2000 created a special law for nuclear accident. These principles, and there is an operator capped of 1500 crore. It's 1500 crore. So there is unfair to the victim because economic damage caused by accident can much be higher. So the Japan Center for Economic Research estimated the eventual cleanup cost for Fukushima disaster could range up to 35 trillion and to 80 trillion, 20 lakh crore to 46 lakh. So the supply of equipments with patent and latent defects ability. So the assigning responsibility civil society groups such as political opposition, UPA government was called is right to recursor, and this allows the victim supplier if there is accident caused by supply of equipments with patent, caused by supply of latent defects or substandard devices. So the line of Union Budget is intent to amend the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damages Act should be a matter of serious concern. Like there's also previous accident scientific analyses powerful cooperation is not based on scientific analysis of previous accident. In fact, the design defects have played a major role in accident to date. A weakness in a Mark 1 containment used in reactors at Fukushima contributed to accident. The defect was flagged at the early 1970 when U.S. Atomic Energy uh, Commission filed General Electric. The reactor designer has used data from test not applicable to the accident condition, and the future construction permits in the future. So the GE simply brushed aside concern, and because it is identified Japanese liability regime not paid anything at a Fukushima accident. So there is a 3 mile following in 1979, 3 Mile Island, the Kimi Commission established by US government noted a Babcock a Wilcox. The supplier of reactor has identified a safety hazards in earlier accident, bearing a strong similarities to the 3 Mile Island, even though engineers at the company urged in the strongest term. So what is the backtracking on progress is they might have to pay for accident on UPA government recourse and both during the after parliament debates on law. So the Janata Party leader Arun Jaitley that Leopard never changes its sports. So, however, assuming the power, President External Minister you issued a set of frequently asked questions, distinguishingly suggesting that it could be bypassed using a contraceptual arrangement between the supplier and NPCIL. So, the US officials have actively lobbied on the behalf of these politically influenced companies, and recently the US ambassador to India, Eric Garrity, recently had leader from the both indicated that they had been in touch with a leader from both ruling party opposition and efforts to law amended. So he also lamented that US corporation has been sell a single reactor of to India nearly 2 decades, US India civil nuclear agreement, and the American reactor design and offer called AP100. It's AP100. So the electricity utility companies commenced in the construction of 4 such reactors in USA, and those 2 of these reactors in South Carolina were abandoned after repeated delays and cost escalations. So 2 other reactors in Georgia was completed at the eye-popping cost $36.8 billion, over 250%, $40 billion estimated. This is the cost of production at the start of construction. So these are high costs translate to expensive electricity, even taking into account lower labor cost India and the 2013 economic political weekly. So what is the hollow safety claims? Like the debates on liability also exposes the exaggerated safety claims. A AP1000 reactor would happen pay once only in 50 million years. And if companies such Westinghouse recognizes the risk is accident is real and are willing to risk a financial losses, why the Indian citizens who live nearly a reactor willing to risk their lives and property. So what is the faced with the pressure for US government, which puts the profit of US government seems to be unstable to stand for basic rights and safety of Indians. The whole article is just about the nuclear energy, how it is dangerous and concession liability. There should be some laws and protections should be for the after its impact, how it is hazardous and what are the securities to regarding it, how it can be a catastrophic disasters. So just there is one news about the willful violation. So the Supreme Court queries about the exposes pattern in obstinacy in the TN government conduct. The Supreme Court, like there is about Tamil Nadu governor and Arun Ravi has exposed the pattern of violation of constitutional duty on his part of question related to lawfulness. So there was a Article 200 of Constitution that avoid granting assents as required by first provision to understanding withholding assent to put an ends of life of bill was altered by the court judgment 2023. So there should be return of bill to legislature and issue of public repugnancy. So it was just about that willful violations. Moving to the next article is about budgeting a gender inclusive Viksit Bharat. So it's important, and the writer here is a UN Women India representatives, so that she can better represent this article and editorial, and just keeping the many important aspects of about the Viksit Bharat. So let's have a discussion about regarding this. So there is a Union Budget 25-26 that emphasizes the government committed to inclusive development, like balanced growth, prioritizing the well-being. The four key population groups, basically their focus is, what are the four key populations are? Four key populations are women, youth, poor, and fourth one is farmer. These are the four key population groups. So there is a finance minister set a holistic vision for Viksit Bharat, developed with zero poverty, universal good quality school education, 100% skilled labor with meaningful employment. Like 70% women in economic activities, India is a food basket of the world. There is 8.8%. So the 70% women in women activities as a food basket in the world. So gender budget allocation is 8.8% in the total budget, significant a jump from 5.8%, 6.8%. So this is the highest allocation in 2 decades. It's 4.49 lakh crore. So it's spread across 49 union ministries, departments, and it reflects a strong commitment to creating a more supportive and empowering environment for women and girls. So there is a 12 additional central ministries and shipping the waterways. So the 12 additional central ministries made from the non-conventional sectors such as railway, port shipping and waterways, land resources, pharmaceuticals, food processing industries have integrated gender budget, reflecting a whole of government approaches to the gender mainstreaming. So the periodic labor force, India's female labor participation measured annual status, and it is rising, steadily rising, like in 42% in 22-23. So just let me write important data the writer is telling about. So it is a 42% in, it's 42% in 23-24 and 33% in 22-21-22. So there is a steadily rising of women force participation rate, female labor force. So the international labor, there is a 37% gaps remain to the male labor force. The participation is 79%. And achieving the ambitious target 70% women participation in economic activities will be a target of 70% women participation increase by 2047. This is a target that we are heading towards. So the entrepreneurship, access to productivity, employment, resources, social security, entitlement areas, budget has acknowledged through the various schemes. So key initiatives such as Skill India programs, there is a Skill India programs also. Skill India programs, Entrepreneurship Skill Development Program ESDP, National Training Institute, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Mission, and Mahatma Gandhi, it's Manrega, PM Employment Generation, PM Vishwakarma, Krishnoti Yojana have seen a combined increase in allocations. Here already written, increase allocation from 1.19 lakh to 1.24 lakh this year, and approximately 52% of these funds are directed toward the women. And the Prime Minister Dhan Dhyan Krishi Yojana, first time entrepreneur schemes, sustainable center excellence for Make in India play, fostering women workforce participation. So what is there is also a focus on gig workers, like 90% of the India's working women engaged in informal sector, and the budget proposal to formalize the gig worker by issuing identity card and registering the e-Shram portal is a significant steps. So the empowerment million of women by providing them with formal identity, access to social security, entitlements, and financial inclusion benefits. So with the gig economy offered women financial independence and the flexible work with low wages, job insecurity, lack of employment rights, and including the progressive parental entitlement. So, the establishment of Center of Excellence on Artificial Intelligence (AI) on education sector dedicated a 600 crore gender budget of India's AI missions demonstrate the government to harness the social AI for social good and future work investing retraining for women imperative to ensuring the equitable outcomes, workforce and benefits of entire economy. So the financial institution must recognize the women's diverse economic roles, particularly in agriculture, entrepreneurship, employment, and the key requirements for economic and social security provisions such as delinking Kishan credit from land ownership would help the farmers avail loans and credit cards and they can expand the agriculture and allied operation. So there is a government Udyam portal 20.5% micro small enterprises are women owned about 27 million people unlocking of finances for the women owned and the Bain and company Google claimed that establishing a 13 million additional women owned a business and 150 million jobs. The 25-26 is a robust foundation for advancing women economy participation, realizing the vision of Viksit Bharat require and by strengthening the gender responsive budgeting, strengthen social protection and by fostering a labor market which include both women and men. The target of 70% women economic activities by 2047. So moving to the next article. It's about the implication of AI diffusion framework. So how the framework of AI diffusion has a most extraordinary framework. It has many goals, preserving one US hegemony and the goals of US strategic AI heralding transforming potential advance and military dominance in coming years. So there is a mechanism of framework is the leveraging the US dominance chips and AI supply chain work. The framework extend the prevailing export AI technology stack including AI chips, chip making tool, closed AI model weight, the key to train the AI system learning, AI is irreplaceable and supply chain. The framework of perpetuate the entire spectrum of export and control and prevents the diffusion of advanced AI system. So companies in the US so companies from the US can tap into the commercial opportunities of AI countries as long as they maintain a tiny share and the total compute capacity. There is a safeguard against unauthorized access. So the entire system is designed to ensure if advanced AI system that are more powerful, capable than prevailing ones. So AI, US and coast allies, but it will influence the reshape the global technological strategic landscape and long term. American companies uh, established a frontier scale AI capabilities outside the US and now face significant barriers. These allies and American corporations will likely hedge against such possibilities, developing contingency plans and interest and maintain a competitive advantages in fact as AI technology advances in long term. So eroding the goodwill with India is the cutting edge AI system beyond the US border framework made disincentive investment. India's pull on top AI talent and impeding knowledge transfers and a point of contention for India. So, the social capital built between two countries through recent technologies, including advances in semiconductor and collaborations, manufacturing collaborations. Instead, it saw a stark reminder for US technology. Denial regimes restricted India's access to nuclear technology in 3 decades following nuclear test. So, both are the relationship carefully cultivated in the recent years. Misalignment risk and hedge India to hedge the against is non-technological is technological economic dependence on US. So moving to the next. Should a convicted person contest elections? So there are is a what does the ROPA, Representation of People Act 1951, stipulate the respect to the electoral convicted criminal offences? What are the various judgment of Supreme Court which favor the decriminalization of politics, and what is the case for lifetime ban on convicted individuals standing for office? So what are the legal provision? They had the provision about the section 8(3). ROPA, Representation of People Act, RP Act 1951, provides a disqualification of person convicted on a criminal offence. This criminal offence and sentenced to imprisonment for not less than 2 years. Such a person is disqualified for contesting election for further 6 years from the date of release, and section 8(1) that further stipulate that the person under the criminal law for heinous crimes like rapes, Protection of Civil Rights Act, preaching or practice of untouchability, UPA, unlawful association, Prevention of Corruption Act will disqualified irrespective of their period of their sentence and 6 years after release. So what are the past decisions? So Supreme Court has delivered notable judgments. There is a famous in the its Association of Democratic Public Reform ADR case 2002 ADR. It's ADR 2002. It mandated that disclosure of criminal records for all candidates contesting elections. It's CEC versus Chokidar. It's Jan Chokidar case. Chokidar case 2013. It upheld the creative interpretation provision of RP Act 1951 with Patna High Court. Section 62(5), so clause 5, stipulate a person in jail is not eligible to vote in elections. The court interpreted the person who are under trial prisoner therefore ceased to be elector and hence not qualified to contest elections. However, the Parliament amended the Act in 2013 and overturned this judgment. The trial prisoner to contest election, Lily Thomas, is the Lily Thomas 2013, struck down the case of section 8(4). It's pertaining that section 11 of RP Act 1951 provides the election that EC may remove any disqualification or reduce the period of disqualification of convicted person, and it is utilized in September 2019 to reduce the disqualification period of Prem Singh Tamang, the incumbent Chief Minister of Sikkim, for 6 years to 13 years month, which allowed him to win a by-election. So it was a questionable decision of EC have reduced the disqualifications and various recommendations to curb the criminalization of politics. So what is a current petition? Like current petition is a lifetime ban on convicted person from contesting elections. The petitioner argued that if convicted person is not eligible for even a junior grade government job, how could they become a lawmaker 6 years after serving their sentence? However, the central government in affidavit filed before the court in 2020 has mentioned that MPs and MLAs are not bound to any service condition, unlike the government servants, and hence the present disqualification period of 6 years after servicing the sentence is adequate. So what can be the way forward? A report of ADR states 251 is 46% of 543 elected MPs. 543 elected MPs in 24 have criminal the case against 171, 31%. Fact, serious criminal charges, rape, murder, attempt to murder, kidnapping, and there is a background was 15.4% against as against just 4.4% candidate were clean background. So the Law Commission in 1998 and 2014 EC on various occasions highlighted a need to curb the criminalization of politics, because how it is impacting the politics if the criminalization and criminal will play in the politics and there is a no clean background, then how it will become a lawmaker for the whole country. How there is no concessions, they have been recommended that even a person against whom charges are framed by competent court for offences that entail a punishment for more than 5 years. However, there is no concessions on this recommendation that political parties considering the risk of misuse. Of course, it's a misuse. There is a regard or current petitions. There may be convictions that do not involve a moral turpitude or for which permanent disqualification would be inappropriate and disproportionate. With respect to conviction, heinous crimes and under statutes like Prevention of Corruption Act, PCA, and there is a case for lifetime disqualification as directly linked with the probity in public life. So meanwhile, the power vested with the EC for reducing and removing the period of disqualification of convicted persons and should be reviewed by the court for constitutional validity. So moving to the next article. What is the contributing downturn in the market? So how there is a downturn in Indian markets after the US president recent directive affecting the Indian stock market, and what are the relation he's talking about? The Sensex BSE has closed lower on Wednesday with the sale of foreign institutional investors FIP and mixed earnings. Tightening of the apprehensions about tightening of imports. So why is Trump affecting markets? On Tuesday, US President issued a directive of restore of tariff on steel and elevates tariff on aluminium. Already we have covered about the tariffs in aluminium and steel about 25%. Generally, the US imports a lot of aluminium and steels, and American industries have been harmed by the unfair trade practices and foreign. So there is a foreign money moving away, and FPIs and FIEs has been increasingly moving toward a US bond, seeking have taken away current modest returns. According to the Devash Vakil head, the prime research HDFC Securities, current situations in the market names from the tepid domestics. So US bold yield rises and foreign investor transit from the Indian domestic economy and political certainty. Totaling a 93,907 crore, he further noted domestic institution investor has been compensating FIE outflows. So what is the outlook of near term? Tightening of trade policies with the probability of trade watered under the Trump geopolitical. Slowing global growth could be influence the market forwarding, and there is FI buyers in India. President Trump tariffs plans keep the investor defensive. As for the outflow, the containers SIP flows and likely remain strong and should be able to absorb the bulk of selling. Just covering all this, how the EU directive restored tariffs on aluminium to 25%, and US bond seeking a haven. Current modest Indian market with potential lesser return, and tightening of trade policy with probability of trade war under the Trump administration. So moving to the it's about Easter Kyer Crocky's life of fable of Nagas, the stunning media stereotype of Northeast Sahitya academic winning novelist poet. Here about poet from Nagaland write about the cultural life of her people who refuse defined by conflict. So Kyer has documented their oral history and spiritual worldview. Basically, the Easter Kyer, novelist from Nagaland who lives in Norway, and spoke of her expression in the broad portrayal of reason. The media stereotype Northeast has done so much about a true cultural life of Nagas and their right of overlooked. So the Kyer portrays the people who refuse to define by conflict. So writing about the spiritual Nagaland spirit nights. Just remember one. What are the she won Spirit Night 2022, which won Kyer at a Sahitya Academic Award 2020 in 2024, and a shining example of how writer is chronicle of life and fables of Nagas. A novel protagonist is Tola, a wise woman and daughter of Sheer. She is warned a dream of impending doom, and dreams are gateway to the spiritual world. So Nagaland over years is like when Kyer was a child. This writer is describing there about that every night one of her grandparents would tell a story and how she is just living there, portraying there all the life of Nagas and making in the story form. Goes to the Northeast. So winning the Sahitya Academic winning novelist and poet from Nagaland. So just basically it writes about cultural life on people and refuse to define by conflicts. So moving to the next one is about the India may revive plan to procure a 6 more P-181 from the US. So P-81 long-term range patrol aircraft, and matter is expected to figure talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President. So the Navy has projected a requirement of P8I some time ago, but there was a deferred about which can be hunt submarines. What is its like qualities are the hunt submarines looking the deep ocean and primary platform for the Indian Navy for long range surveillance, and has been particularly critical as Chinese naval presence has significantly expanded in ocean region. So there are 6 additional P8Is preliminary, and discussion has commented regarding to 2 sources confirmed. So the deal is the subsequently Navy and was keen 10 more that truncated letter. Now the covering the last slide is about the Kumbh Mela that is organizing, and there is a 90 people take a holy dip on Magh Purnima at Mahakumbh. Proper there is a so much vehicle transaction vehicle zone, 2 hour of long jam, and so much traffic crowded, but everything is just managed by the good way. His a panel report shows the illegal coal mining continues to unabated in Meghalaya. The rat hole mining that is already prohibited and restricted in the that in special areas in Article 371 that carries a special that give a status to the special states that covering like Meghalaya, Sikkim, and every. So there is a position of how it is the 6 coal-rich district of the state, and illegal rat hole mining is prohibited there, and the seizures under Mine Mineral Recruitment Regulation MMDR Act of 1957, and court reported 92,684 metric tons of coals were seized through the Garu Khasi Jantia Hills district, and the private between August private firm engaged by state government. So there is a illegal coal mining activities, and 41 lakh 796,443 MT was seized here. So finally we are on the last slides, and just covered every important news aspects. Let's have a summary and ending the today's session. So the retail inflation rises to 4-month inflation of 4.3%. IMC project gains a tractions of PM hold talks with a Macron. Second one is covering about the dangerous tool in Chinese AI American bans, and says and one is but a picture depicting about the poultry about the bird flu that is spreading, and many in the south areas also in Andhra Pradesh. This picture was about editorial about nuclear energy, dangerous concession liability, and one article was Viksit Bharat, budgeting gender inclusive, just covering everything in a very detailed analysis way, just covering every lines, every important details. Just have a look and about the implication of AI diffusion framework. If you don't understand, just read one time. 7 is about the convicted person contest elections. 8th one is about contributing downturn in Indian markets. 9th one is about the Eastern Chronicle lives and fable of Nagas, and revive plan to procure ATI aircraft from US. And 10th one is about the Magh Purnima holiday, and illegal coal mining continues to unabated in Meghalaya. So that's for today, covering every important lines and spec editorial. Just try to do every day in continuous manner of editorial. Just stay connected, and I'm trying to deliver my best through these articles editorial. I am also learning many new things, and just how to representing way, how to detect it. So day by day I will improve much more. Just be just cooperate me, and just learn and grow together. So thank you for today coming. So let's meet tomorrow with a new editorial. Till now, good night, take care, see you tomorrow.